Hi, this is David Gornoski, host of A Neighbor's Choice and Things Hidden podcast, as well as some of our other programs like Science and You with our chief science advisor, Dr. Yu, and our seed oil survival series that we continue to have great fun unpacking the truth of nutrition. I wanted to give you a quick little message saying we appreciate all the support that we get from our monthly contributors and our one-time donation supporters, and we'd encourage all of you to go to our website, aneighborschoice.com, click on contribute, and make a monthly pledge today, whether it's $1, $5, 15, 20, 50, whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter. Just be a part of building this new media project that we've developed to empower and inform, to inspire, to kickstart a scientific renaissance, an anthropological breakthrough and reformation in the church. All these things are possible with your support right now. So make that commitment today and help us keep doing the productions that we have. Thank you. Today we have on A Neighbor's Choice an individual who has decided to push back against the lawfare going on in Georgia right now. Something that, a lot of folks who, I think, even if you don't like Donald Trump, nobody wants to see this precedent stand wherein people can come up with highly political charges to try to imprison their political opponents. It's something that I think a lot of folks in the so-called uniparty would like to keep in place as a mechanism to keep out populist or anti-establishment voices from ever having a seat at the table, whether it comes from the left or the right, but particularly with the right, they don't want that to have any foothold in the political governance of our country. So to do that, that pushback, we have a GOP state senator from Georgia, Colton Moore. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. I mean, you summed it up perfectly. Like, whether you like Donald Trump or not, and this is an attack on American exceptionalism. This is an attack on the freedoms that we hold near and dear. Right? Let us not forget it took 19 days to certify the election. These people were doing what's beautiful, what's amazing in America, the First Amendment, the freedom for us to talk right now. They were simply inquiring into the nature of this election. And these charges are novel. They're charges for false statements, charges for making a tweet. I mean, this is absolutely nonsense. We're in uncharted territory here.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of saying something is a false statement when it hasn't fully been, you have to have a lot of concrete 100% evidence that this thing is false. And that's not something that's happened. They like to cite that Trump has had all these attempts at courts and hasn't had any victories, but that's not correct, is it? He's mostly been dismissed because of standing, right?
No, exactly. I mean, think about all the affidavits that were signed across the state that were never adjudicated.
Yeah.
I look back to my constituents. I was serving in the state house at the time. That were calling me up because their loved ones had voted, and the Secretary of State's office wouldn't hear their concerns. Probably because they were so inundated with these types of ridiculous things that were taking place in the election. So, Fani Willis, the district attorney, she's got a mess on her hands when it comes to her actual role and responsibility. Half of the inmates at the Fulton County jail have yet to receive a charge. Okay. That's reported by the ACLU. Then we've got rapper Young Thug, Young Slime, who have been in her court now for a year, and they've yet to pick a jury. Crime is the worst it's ever been in Fulton County. Her job is to go prosecute crimes. Instead, she's taken my tax dollars, hardworking Georgians' tax dollars, and she's using that to make political prisoners and potentially prisoners for life.
Yeah, that's disturbing. The Democrats say that they're for criminal justice reform, but I don't see it really bearing fruit. They seem to be doubling down on using it for using the prison system as a cruel form of pursuing their enemies. And actually, it was Donald Trump who passed the First Step Act, the only criminal justice reform that a president has signed in office in, I guess, decades, you would say. Um, but what tell us a little bit about Fulton County and the whole what's going on over there for folks. You know, you're a state senator in Georgia, so you can give us a little bit more of an inside perspective on the political dynamics out of that county. How are they able to get away with this so far?
Well, it's a strong leftist stronghold, right? I mean, Lang Ching, the Chinese, saying for death by 1,000 cuts, and that's what they're attempting to do here because they are far left communist. Okay, they're authoritarians. That's exactly what they are, and they're flexing that government power. And then you have a senator like me who's from the mountains of North Georgia, and we don't take too kindly to someone threatening our freedom and liberty. We especially don't like it when our tax dollars are funding something like this in Fulton County. And that's why I put in the process of creating this emergency special session, because now is the time to take action and defund Fani Willis and ultimately investigate her. And when the corruption is found, impeach her.
So tell us a little bit about what does that mean when you say defund Willis. Would that stop this from proceeding, or would they have another mechanism to fund them to continue, or what would happen there?
Well, it would be on the backs. They would have to fund it themselves on their own taxpayers' backs. It wouldn't be the people of North Georgia funding it. And it might make them think differently about, they obviously have too much money because they're not focused on their job, which is, taking care of those inmates in the jail, getting justice served there. Instead, they're taking political prisoners, which is not their role. It's not. I mean, it's out of the ordinary.
Yeah. When you look at the political landscape in Georgia, what do you need to be able to defund this political persecution? What would you have to do?
So just like in any other state in the nation, right, we have the presidential system of government. So we've got the three branches, the legislative, executive, and judicial. The legislative branch, which I serve in, has the power of the purse, right? We get to decide what the taxes are going to be, and we get to decide how we're going to spend those tax dollars. So that's where the defunding comes from. We as a legislature, a GOP-controlled legislature, should not be allowing tax dollars to go to this district attorney. We also have oversight of all judicial and executive officers, she being one of those. So we have full subpoena power to investigate and inquire into the nature of her.
Now, Governor Ron DeSantis has been taking out politically motivated district attorneys in Florida. Is that something that the governor of Georgia could engage in here if this person continues to do politicization for justice?
To my understanding, that the governor doesn't have that authority here in Georgia.
Okay.
It would take the legislature to impeach. What is a new law in Georgia is a prosecutorial oversight commission, which was established earlier this year, but they have yet to convene. They're still they've just been appointed. They're setting up rules. And ultimately, Fani Willis should be the very first candidate for that type of commission.
Yeah. So you have to. This is a bill that you're introducing, as well as a call for a special session. Is that what's happening here with your initiative?
Well, so my initiative right now is to call for a special session and get legislators to sign on and demand it. Okay. Then ultimately, next time we're in session, be it an emergency session or an actual session, I will be amending the budget to not fund District Attorney Fani Willis.
Okay. And do you think there's enough folks who would think like you to support you to get it passed? You need 3/5, right, of the legislature?
So if all the GOP members in the Senate signed on, then that would be the 3/5. Over in the House, the majority is so tight, it would take a few Democrats. But the thing is, I mean, look at the humanitarian crisis that is the Fulton County jail, right? The ACLU has reported on it. I mean, think about the justice that's not being served in the Young Thug case. So, there's reason that Democrats can get involved too. I mean, even if you're a Democrat, even if you don't like Donald Trump, you would at least think, well, I want my taxpayer dollars to be taking care of actual crime instead of going after some political opponent with novel charges.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a video of the Fulton County jail. It does not look like there's water, sewage running down the ground, pipes, just all kinds of decay. Looks like a sewer, really.
Yeah, no, very bad stuff.
And what's they don't have enough money to pay for it, or that's their design to try to they like their prisoners to be in that kind of inhumane situation, or what's the deal?
I can't speak for them. What I do know though is when it comes to the prosecutorial process, victims are not getting justice. A friend of mine had his laptop bag stolen from him. Pulled into a restaurant here in Atlanta. Guy breaks into his trunk, pulls out his laptop bag. It took 3 hours for law enforcement to respond. 3 hours. I mean, it's absolute chaos, and this district attorney is doing nothing to bring justice. No one's going to be responsible for their crimes if she's not prosecuting it. And then all she wants to do is take political prisoners. Like, it's hard to even say that you're in the state of Georgia or you're in the state of America, when you're in Fulton County.
Yeah. Is that something is that one of those George Soros backed DAs? Is that what she is?
I'm not sure. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like there's a similar hallmark here of putting in district attorneys that don't want to follow the law as it pertains to life and property, protections, but they really want to do a lot of political maneuvering with their position. So I think it's a troubling pattern that we're seeing across this country, and it's good that you're willing to push back on this, because again, I think this is something, and as you've alluded to, nobody wants this to become the norm where you can again let your prisoners live in a system that is not what I would say conducive for basic human rights, and at the same time folks who are victims of crime are being neglected, and meanwhile you're spending all your time creating a precedent to criminalize political opponents. That's the end of the republic. Let's face it. There's nothing left.
I mean, think about it. That's you just mentioned it's an 8th Amendment violation, right? That these people are suffering. Then you've got First Amendment violations that this district attorney is targeting people for simple tweets, questioning an election.
Yeah.
I mean, she obviously does not understand the Constitution, and she's fighting against it. I mean, she is a domestic enemy to that Constitution.
Why is there such a how come there's been no real it seems like the conservatives in Georgia haven't really dealt with some of the things that were going on in that election, the strange ballot problems, the pristine ballots that looked like they weren't ever even touched. That how come that hasn't been fully reckoned with?
Yeah, I'll never understand why they were so confident in the election. I mean, think about this: the Haldeman report comes out and says, "Hey, Georgia, we're the only state in the union that has all Dominion voting machines required by state law. Every voting precinct
it's required by law.
Yeah, it has Dominion voting machines,
wow.
And they have to be updated. But yet we can't convince our Secretary of State to go and update these machines. I've even heard some folks in that camp say, "Oh, well, all you crazies are going to think that we're organizing the election if we put a flash drive into it." Well, how could that be so? No one's qualified for office yet, or then they say, "Oh, it's going to take so long to update. Each machine may take 30 minutes." Well, what software is going to take that long? The machine runs off of basic software. It shouldn't take more than 2 or 3 minutes to update the machine, right? It's excuse after excuse. So I'm really perplexed by what's going on with that. I mean, and there's a grassroots movement. You got Spalding County, Georgia, that's saying, "Hey, we're only going to count the paper. We're not trusting the machine anymore. And Secretary of State, if you want our election results, you're going to have to take it from the paper." So people are starting to fight back. They're starting to stand up. And that's what I'm calling on people to do too. I mean, if you want more information about this fight, you can go to my website, coltonmoore.com. Or if you live in Georgia, go call your state senator, call your representative, say, "Hey, I demand a special session to defund Fani Willis, investigate her, and if corruption's found, ultimately impeach her."
Yeah, it's something that I think there should be more grassroots support for paper ballots and hand counted until these things can be That seems to be I mean, that's how countries all over the world do it. Taiwan does it that way. They hold up the ballot, everybody can see it, as they count it. I mean, that's what you do if you're a first-rate country, and apparently
Right.
we're not interested in that right now. But Colton, I really appreciate your time. And again, what's the website for folks who want to learn about what you've got here with the
Yes,
special?
sir. It's coltonmoore.com/emergency.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you so much. Talk soon.